everybody, it's Camille Martin with Love to Lose, where I teach you how to love your life and lose the weight. In this week's video, I want to talk about emotional eating or binge eating. And for a very, very long time, I struggled with eating emotionally and trying not to binge eat. And I would say things to myself like, you have just got to stop doing this. Why can't you just stop eating? Tomorrow I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna try not to do it. I'm gonna force myself to stop eating emotionally. And as you can imagine, that doesn't work because using willpower or force and trying not to creates resistance, and that resistance is what actually pushes you to keep binge eating. So it's a negative cycle. It does not work. In my video today, I want to tell you about a unique approach that I take, and I still take it all the time, and that is to manage your emotional eating on the front end. In other words, what's pushing you to binge in the first place? And we miss this, and it's so crazy that we do because it's such an effective way to eliminate the urge to binge eat or stop it before it starts, because that's actually the problem. What's causing your binge eating or your emotional eating, and to stop attacking the symptom and get to the source of the problem instead. So in this week's video, I'm going to give you 5 super easy strategies that I use all the time that will help you drastically curb your tendency to eat emotionally. What these 5 strategies all have in common is that they have to do with your environment. And if you've read anything that I've written or heard any of my videos, you know that I'm a huge proponent of cleaning up your environment. But your environment doesn't just consist of what you see around you, although that's extremely important. Your environment also includes the thoughts that you think, your mental environment. It includes your emotional environment, how you're feeling inside. So as success author James Clear always says, and I love this quote, environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. And that is so powerful because it really is invisible. And because of that, you're not noticing it. You're used to seeing everything around you. You're used to hearing the same thoughts going through your head. And if you don't notice it, you can't change it. So that's what these 5 strategies has in common. They all have to do with your environment. So let me give them to you now so you can wake up and snap out of it, figure out how to take control of all of them, and then you can make willpower a thing of the past. As I just said, you have to be aware of what's going on of your environment. So that is strategy number 1, is to be aware. You can't fix anything if you don't know what's actually happening. So your binge eating is being prompted by certain triggers. So it could be loneliness, boredom, stress, anger. It could be any number of things. For me, it's stress. So you have to identify what's pushing you to binge eat, what's fueling your emotional eating episodes. And how you do that is you can either go sit somewhere quietly and really reflect and think about that, or even better is to notice, let yourself during the day engage in whatever behaviors that you typically do. Don't try to stop yourself or judge yourself, but see what's happening. When you reach for a bag of chips or some cookies, figure out in that moment what actually pushed you to feel like I need to eat something. Step number 2 is to manage those triggers. This is like really the secret to everything. If you know what is pushing you to binge, for instance, for me, stress, you can manage the stress. Isn't that great? Rather than trying to stop binge eating, if you're stressed out, you can manage the stress. So for me, the 2 things that stress me out the most are, number 1, if I get too far along in my day and I look at my to-do list and I feel like I haven't done anything, that stresses me out. And number 2, it stresses me out when my kitchen looks like a bomb went off, because that's where I work. So I do everything I can every day to make sure that I've tackled a lot of my to-do list before my kids even get out of the bed. That makes me feel far less stressed. And I also do whatever I can to keep my kitchen neat, clean, and organized so that doesn't become a huge trigger for me. Strategy number 3 is to manage your surroundings. So this is the physical environment that I was talking about. When I'm stressed out, if I have cookies sitting out on the counter or just things that I can walk by and grab, you can be sure that I'm gonna grab something and I'm gonna shove it in my mouth, because that's just what I've trained myself to do. So I manage my environment. I make a point of not keeping stuff out on the counter. But even better, it's not just keeping it out of sight. I set my environment up proactively so that it makes it hard for me to engage in bad behaviors, and it makes it easy for me to engage in the good ones. So let me explain that. My kids do like cookies, as do I, but I buy cookies for them. And what I do with those cookies, I don't just like put it in their snack drawer. I take it out of the package, I put it in a Tupperware container, and I try to put it actually farther out of hand's reach or the line of sight and make it harder for me to actually get to the cookies. It sounds crazy, but research shows that adding barriers in between you and the thing that you're trying not to do, it gives you more of an opportunity, those split seconds of you have to make more decisions to get to the behavior, to the bad behavior. Conversely, if I want to make sure that I'm going to eat healthy throughout the day, I have a fruit bowl. Where is it? It's back there behind me. Can you see it? I have a bowl of fruit. I leave it out on the counter every single day and I fill it up with fruit so that I'm more likely to eat it. So you can set your environment up so that it actually makes decisions for you. That's how you take control of it. I actually have a free guide that will tell you exactly how to do that. If you don't already have it, you can get it on my website at camillemartinrd.com/kitchen-guide, and I will put that in the description below. Strategy number 4 is to manage your self-talk. Boy, this is a big one for me because how often do you hear yourself saying things like, oh my God, why can't you just do this? Why are you so out of control? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we got to take charge of our mental environment, which means our self-talk. So back to my example of stress and feeling stressed out and the trigger of my environment being cluttered up, my kitchen looking like a bomb went off. I can promise you that my kitchen doesn't always look like this. Hardly. My kids, as soon as they enter the environment, it looks like a pack of hyenas tore through here, and it's so stressful. So I know that this is going to happen, and I do whatever I can to manage my self-talk. Instead of saying things like, why do I have to do everything around here? Why can't they just clean up after themselves? I know how to manage it. I say things to myself like breathe, calm down, you can clean it up later. And I do actually do those things. I breathe and I calm down, and that really does help me because all of that negative self-talk is just one more thing to push me right toward the cookies that I have put up in the cabinet. So self-talk is very powerful and it can push you to do good things and also bad things. Strategy number 5 is to manage your reactions. So like I just said, when I'm telling myself to breathe, I breathe. And sometimes I tell myself, just leave the room, walk away. And I do that. I walk out on that back patio you see right there. I open the door when the kids are going crazy and the dogs are going crazy and my kitchen looks like a bomb went off. I leave. I go out on that patio and I sit and I breathe. And I take a few minutes to myself to calm down. And that presence, just knowing that you're in control, like stopping what's happening, taking charge, taking control, getting out of the environment, managing how you react to what's going on around you is very powerful. So if you're lonely or sad or bored or whatever it is, you can manage how you react to those feelings, and that will drastically decrease the chance that you will binge eat. What I want to wrap up this video by saying is that you really are in control. Binge eating is actually a reaction to feeling like you have no control over what's going on around you. If you feel lonely, if you feel sad, you feel like, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm just going to grab, these chips, these cookies, this ice cream, and I'm going to make myself feel better. You have trained yourself to do these things. And so instead of trying to undo years and years of conditioning by, using willpower and saying that you're not going to, and then failing over and over again and increasing the shame that you feel from the failures, you can tackle it on the front end. You can control it. These 5 strategies are so easy and you can use them to take control because you really are in control. And the best part about these strategies is that when you use them individually, they work wonders, but when you put them all together, they're extremely powerful. So I'd love for you to put these into place and take control of your environment, all of your environments, and decrease the chances that you will binge eat or eat emotionally. You will probably never fully get rid of that tendency. I know I haven't, but you can control it. You can take charge and take steps to manage it. I really hope this video helped you, and if it did, why don't you share it with a friend? I'm sure you know another woman in your life who struggles with emotional eating, and I would love it and be so grateful if you would share it with her. If you haven't already signed up for my weekly newsletter, make sure to go to my website at CamilleMartinRD.com. Sign up while you're there and get inspiration and tips and motivation just like this every single week in your inbox. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you here next time on Love to Lose.